Welcome back, everyone, to the 38th episode of the Illegal Formation Podcast Championship Sunday edition. I'm your host, Scott. Joining me today is my amazing co-host, Dat One Dude. You can see him there to my left, and both of our teams are eliminated, and this is an interesting time of the year for a team like the Giants, a team like the Eagles that would expect to be there. We just get to enjoy football, and it's not quite what we expected, I would say. Pretty wild. At least one of the games is very surprising. The other game, I will say, I had a bit of a prediction that has stood true so far, that the Rams and Seahawks would be the last two remaining NFC teams, so I feel really good about that. And but yeah, Patriots-Broncos for the AFC, and Bo Nix out for the season. I've heard some stuff about him potentially getting some kind of injection. I don't think he's going to play, so we're going to likely see Jarrett Stidham against the Patriots. Dan, just like we're finally here after one of the greatest seasons of parity and surprises. What's your overall feeling about just this NFL season, being this close to the Super Bowl? How did you feel about it?
I mean, overall, the script writers were writing with fire. Personally, these dudes put up a story. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, to knock out some of the powerhouses that have been in the playoffs for years to come. None of them really making it, and then the one guy we expect to take it all the way, he ends up going and choking to the now Denver Broncos with Stidham.
Yep.
As far as the NFC goes, everyone's been talking about how the Pope is the new Pope. That means it's the Seahawks year. And me and Joey at the time, we were calling it nonstop, 25-8. How about they're the strongest team? I was talking for the longest time about how the Bears were the team that were going to shock everybody, and they almost caught the Rams lacking.
Yep.
I thought there was a lot of skeptical things in that game, but not as skeptical as that freaking Bills and Broncos game for sure, because it was just something. But overall, as far as the season goes, like, a lot of people were shocking, and I'm really curious about the mix-up that it's going to cause for next year.
Yeah. Next year is certainly going to be very, very interesting, and there's I have a whole ton of thoughts and video ideas for the off season about where we are, not just in this individual season, but in sort of the timeline, because I feel like the a timeline of the NFL sort of follows quarterback classes and things of that nature. But yeah, it's been a wild season. Our potential Super Bowl matchups are Seahawks Patriots. That would be a sort of classic rematch. One of the probably top 5 Super Bowls ever. Seahawks Broncos, you'd have two quarterbacks who are have had a lot of questions. Sam Darnold and then Jarrett Stidham, a backup, playing in the Super Bowl. Winner takes it all in that case for their legacy to kind of cement themselves and really boost the rest of their career. But then you could get Rams Patriots, the kind of battle between the MVP candidates, Maye and Stafford, and then Rams Broncos, which in my mind would be the ultimate underdog story for the Broncos and Jarrett Stidham. So it's gonna be a pretty awesome championship Sunday. I'm very excited for it. So I'm ready to get into it. Are you, Dan?
Let's get it rocking.
All right. So let's start off, I think, with Rams and Seahawks. First off, I'm going to see if we've got an update on the injury report. We should have the Wednesday practices in. For the Rams, Quentin Lake did not participate with an illness. He'll probably be okay. Byron Young did not participate with a knee. That's going to be pretty big if the Rams don't have him in the front seven. So definitely something to monitor. For the Seahawks, there's a lot more guys on here, limited participants, but the ones who did not participate are all offensive linemen. Charles Cross with the foot, Josh Jones with the knee and ankle, who's kind of like a swing tackle, and then Armani Knight, he's a tackle. He did not participate, but this is only Wednesday. This is really only stuff to monitor. The big one is Sam Darnold, limited participant with the oblique. I thought, they probably gave him a little something, and he felt pretty good last week. Looked all right. But big news for the Seahawks, Zach Charbonnet. their part of their very great RB duo, torn ACL. Really, really sad.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I remember seeing it in the game, and I was like, "Why, bro? Like,
Yeah, it was very sad, and
they
in a
were
game where
already
they're blowing them
destroying the
out.
Niners. They were
Yeah,
destroying the Niners. It was like that was just a pointless loss. Like,
yeah. It that one really hurt. I know a lot of fantasy enthusiasts aren't the biggest fan of Zach Charbonnet because they're Kenneth Walker fans, but it's in the real game of football, having both of them is the best, and now they don't have that
situation.
So they won't have their power runner in this matchup against this Rams sort of lighter defensive front. And, just kind of keep an eye on Sam Darnold. How does he look in a game that, they're likely not going to be blowing the opponent out, and he's going to probably be asked to pass more than the Seahawks would prefer to. So that's sort of what to monitor from the injury standpoint. Now, Dan, I just want to ask you a question because I feel this way.
Okay.
Do you think that this NFC Championship between the Rams and the Seahawks is the real Super Bowl, meaning this is the two best teams in the NFL facing off right here, and it assumes that whoever wins this game is going to beat whoever comes out of the AFC? Because I feel that way.
I mean, I'll agree with you. And that's how I felt, if I'm going to be honest with you, last year as well when the Eagles played the Rams in
Divisional
When the Eagles
round.
played the Rams in the snow in the divisional round.
Yep.
I personally thought that was the best game.
Mm-hmm. I felt the same way.
Out of the whole playoffs, because that was clash for clash, and we were able to get away with it, with that Saquon run, but it was more magical than the Super Bowl, if I'm going to be honest with you. In terms of competition and like what we're able to bring to what we were able to bring to the table. The Chiefs didn't have anything for us. The Rams did, and they were the only team that I felt like was able to hold us down and keep us like on our toes the entire time. So yeah, this game against the Seahawks, because McVay's done it once, McDonald's got it once, and again, when you play the third time, it's a different kind of matchup.
Yeah.
So
that's right. And I love how you brought up last year's playoffs, because I remember watching that Rams-Eagles game, feeling that same way. And then just as the Commanders got blown out, the Chiefs get blown out in the Super Bowl, just confirmed it to me because, yeah, Saquon had a big day against this Rams team, but the way that the Rams were able to pass the ball against that Eagles defense was something we saw during that regular season that carried into the playoffs, and that reassured me that this Rams team is legit and they're not going anywhere. Gave me the confidence that rode them into this year, and here we are. It feels like this is a moment that's been building since they kind of had that down year with the injury to Stafford. So, yeah, I'm glad we both see it that way. We're not the only ones.
I also look at it low-key as like a Cooper Kupp revenge game, if I'm
It is. It 100% is. And I remember when he signed with the Seahawks in the offseason and the Seahawks signed Sam Darnold, I did not think that was going to work. JSN, Cooper Kupp, and Sam Darnold. And many people had questions about that offense going into it, especially since the line was never good before Clint Kubiak was there and they drafted Grace Abel. The Seahawks have done a phenomenal job growing into the team they are now. Obviously, they won this division and they did beat this Rams team and the 49ers team in games that matter. So, the Seahawks with the defense and, balanced offense, the Rams with the offense and the capable defense, seems to me that these are, in my opinion, the two best teams in the NFL. I think whoever wins this one is going to go on to win the Super Bowl. So that makes me wonder, though. These two teams have played already twice. They're in the same division. We've even seen them play the same opponents in the division. And, the Seahawks and Rams both had lost to the 49ers. It's so balanced. But between the two matchups we saw between these two teams, the first game where it was a lot more defensive and there was a lot more turnovers from the Seahawks, compared that to the second game where, the Seahawks were down, but then there was this big punt return by Rashid Shaheed that kind of opened up the Seahawks offense, gave them momentum, and we end up in a 38-37 overtime shootout. Way different than the first matchup. Heading into this one, it's going to be in Seattle. Who do you think, or which matchup Do you think this is going to be more like the defensive one that we saw the first time around, or the Thursday night short week overtime shootout?
Oh, bro, they are gonna empty out that playbook. I'm talking about whoever's in the AFC is basically gonna have film on both teams' entire playbooks. Because I'm expecting them to throw just everything that they can at each other. They see each other twice a year already in the regular season, and the Seahawks that second game knew they had to win that game. Like they had, and they gave them everything they could. You know what I mean? And the Rams tried everything to stop them, and now we're back in Seattle to do it all over again.
Yeah.
And it's like I would assume McDonald and this whole Seahawks coaching staff has developed the game plan, seeing what Sean McVay has done in almost every situation that they've put him in. So I'm just excited to see kind of how it works overall. And what did I say again? You know what I mean? When it comes to the Rams defense in key moments, right? That Caleb Williams throw should have never freaking happened, bro.
Yeah.
I have never seen
the interception,
right? I've never seen a quarterback run 30 yards back and still score a touchdown.
Yeah. Seriously.
And it wasn't even like, oh, he pointed at him and no, he literally threw a prayer. That was what it was. And even the corner was so confused why that ball was going so far.
Right. How did he get it over me running away? How did he do it? That was such an amazing play. And in that Bears-Rams game, didn't you feel it? Somehow they were going to do it.
When he was doing that, in my mind, I was like, it's not over. In my mind, I already knew to myself. I was like, he threw that ball, and I was like,
it's going to get there.
And someone's gonna catch that.
it's gonna get there. Maybe someone drops it or whatever, but it's definitely gonna get there. I remember watching him scramble backwards and thinking, is this how he's gonna do it? But this is about the Rams, and for them in that situation, I couldn't believe.
That's what I mean, in the Rams in this situation, that is a key moment where it's like you cannot do this, right, against this defense. If the Seahawks defense comes out, it's like I am scared, right? I would rather be the Rams defense to shut this down, Cooper Kupp, JSN, and Sam Darnold, than have to be like, yo, Stafford, go out with Devontae and Puka against the Seahawks defense. I'm not trying to go up against the Seahawks defense on the last drive.
Right.
I would rather have scored and have my defense try to slow them down.
Right.
Pressure Darnold to make him a mistake rather than expecting this defense to make a mistake.
Absolutely. I think both teams are going to, both teams can pass and both teams can run, and both teams are going to want to run the ball and play defense and lean on this game or, lean on that for this game. And you would assume it's hard to tell when it's a shootout or a lower scoring game. Does it help the more elite quarterback, the more clutch quarterback, or do they have the advantage when it's lower scoring or higher scoring? I would say probably higher scoring. You're getting more opportunities, getting the ball back and all that kind of stuff. And, if Stafford's having trouble moving the ball, what does it matter if he's elite? He can't do it in that moment. So I think that's definitely going to be a big factor. But speaking of big factors, it is in Seattle. All right. And, we're talking 12th man.
They had a minor earthquake with Shaheed's run, bro.
Yeah. Just like the Beastquake.
Yep.
One favorite player all time. You don't see him up there. That's Chubb. But I got Marshawn in the closet right over there. But talking about home and away splits for these teams, the Seahawks, when they're away, are 8-1 on the season. Okay? And the Seahawks, when they're home, are 7-2. So really not that different.
Really not too crazy. Yeah.
Really not that different. I think this team is the same wherever they play. The Rams, when they're home, they're 7-1, and when they're away, they are 6-4. So definitely not as good on the road. Both of these teams split during the regular season. Both teams won when they were at home. So it seems this 1 seed is definitely going to give the Seahawks some level of advantage. But I want to ask you, do you really think so? Because we just saw this Rams team, you win in Carolina on the road, okay, right? Like, all right, you should beat them no matter what. But to go into Chicago against such a dangerous team, playing in those conditions, I would argue that was probably the biggest advantage a team all year in the playoffs could get from having home field, being used to playing in that cold weather. This is a dome team that's coming to see us. If anything, it proved to me that there's something up with that 6-4 split when they're away, because what I just saw in the divisional round proved to me that they can play in any conditions and win against a good team. So do you think it's going to be a major advantage, or do you think it's going to kind of be like, whichever stadium this one was at, I think both teams were going to show up?
No, I genuinely feel like, especially in this time of year, like the placement where you put the Rams does matter. Because again, right, the Bears, if I'm correct, Caleb threw not 1 but 2 interceptions, right? I believe that game.
Yeah.
So in that kind of situation, good teams, the ones that win Super Bowls, put themselves ahead by at least a score or 2.
And run the ball.
The Bears were in the game the whole time.
Yeah, they were.
And I think, especially in a situation where your quarterback runs back 30 yards and the ball is up in the air for at least 20 seconds, your corner should be able to route the ball, and if not, intercept it, make it a pass drop, and they should have been celebrating right there.
Yeah.
But either Vegas, the script writers, or the Rams defense just could not figure it out.
Yeah. And
that's where I'm like, in this game, right? Like, there is no way that I'm going to sit here and feel as if, like, oh, the Rams can be put in the middle of Seattle, NFC Championship, in the cold weather, going stupid, going crazy with that freaking the genius design of a stadium. I'm not even gonna lie to you, I want to go there so bad just to see it. But that they're gonna come out and play to a T. Yo, listen, it's rivals. You know what I mean? I always said it, when you play your rival team, you play different. You've seen each other, you got your script, all that stuff in between. But the atmosphere is not the same compared to a playoff game, compared to a regular season game. And what do I mean by that? Like, the Seahawks just played the Niners. Last time I checked, the Niners caught the Seahawks lacking beforehand. And then they came back and absolutely laid them out the second time when they played them.
It was 18 weeks apart, to be fair.
It was 18 weeks apart, you're right. But then 3 weeks later, they got destroyed again.
They were a little. They didn't have Kittle. I mean, but I do know what you. If anything, it points to how Seattle has just gotten better. It's not like this has just been like, the same thing all year. No, they lost to the Bucs early in the year and let up 38. That was something that happened, but it feels like over the past 10 weeks, the Seahawks team has either gotten better or they haven't moved backwards. And I just want to shout out Scuba King 3370, who said Rams are tough, no doubt, but Seahawks are going for it all. They 100% are. And I heard Richard Sherman talk today about MOB, mission over bullshit, for the Seahawks team. It's kind of like their motto or what they preach, how he went there and he could feel it in the air. This Seahawks team is really special in the way that they're coached and the way they show up and play and how they get so much out of all their players. Even guys like Cooper Kupp, who even on the Rams didn't look that great, in the last year. So I do think, personally for me, I think because of the way Stafford played in the cold, in Chicago, it was kind of slow, but I think they were generally ahead. I don't think the Bears ever had a lead. I think it was always a field goal, a touchdown. And in a game like that feels like almost like 2 possessions, or a field goal feels like a touchdown. Having trouble getting down the field and to communicate in an away stadium, that's something I trust the Rams to do. To kind of mitigate the home field a little bit. And the defense, while they did let up that ridiculous play, they did come up. They did punish the Bears for a mistake in overtime. So they did kind of make up for it. Ultimately, they still got the win. So Now I want to move on to kind of like the big question around all this, because I think we know they're pretty evenly matched from a coaching standpoint. Seattle has a little bit better of a roster overall, I'd say, but the Rams have the better quarterback. We all know this. But if Sam Darnold has a really good game and the Seahawks still lose, who do you think would be the reason in that case? Because I know what my answer would be.
If you blame somebody, who would it be?
Yeah, either a position group or like what, an individual weakness they have.
Running backs, probably.
Not having Charbonnet.
The reason why I say that is because, again, you lost your that at that point, right? You realize you're probably gonna be like, Kenneth Walker's really not a workhorse. He's not that guy. He needs to have Charbonnet. All this stuff in between. It's like they're gonna find something. You're not gonna blame JSN and Cooper Kupp. They've been performing crazy all week, all year. And the third is Shaheed, right? And then the fourth is Bobo, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
I feel like their tight end group, no offense, still there. So he's pretty solid, I feel like, as a tight end.
Well, they got Barner and
they got Barner.
Arroyo, the rookie.
Yeah, Arroyo, yeah. And overall, I'm trying to like think to myself, right? Like their D line is solid.
I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you what I think, and this is I'm going out on a limb here a little bit because it hasn't been the case throughout the year. It's in situations like this when we're in the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl, and I think I've told you about this before. I like to go back to Week 1 because although we are months and months separated from Week 1 in the preseason, a lot of the claims and the expectations people had were there for a reason. And going into this year, my main concern for Sam Darnold was that he would not have the offensive line support. Now, in this game where they don't have Charbonnet, the big grinder in the run game, K9 can create explosives and he can go between the tackles, but I think you're right. I think he kind of needs Charbonnet next to him. A weaker run game, the offensive line, they're banged up right now. They might play, but they're banged up. Gray Zabel's a rookie. He's been really, really good. I think they're all very reliant on Clint Kubiak's coaching. And if Chris Shula can get a heavy pass rush on Sam Darnold and the Seahawks team, like they did the first game this season, like they did last year twice when he was on the Vikings, I think it will be the offensive line against this Rams defensive front. Now, the Rams, they might not have Byron Young. I think the expectation is that he plays. And I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but I'm just saying if Sam Darnold, kind of does everything he can and there's some other excuse, I think it will be the offensive line. But that, like I said, you were kind of laying it out before where you're like, they're solid here, they're solid here, they're solid here. Sounds like a Super Bowl team. Yeah, like they kind of are solid everywhere. Yeah. I'm just going back to history, really.
I see where you're coming from with that. I mean, yeah, the O-line is definitely important. Coaching could be a factor with this. It's just one of those things. Like, I don't even who is the Seahawks third running back by chance.
I saw him in the game.
That's what I'm saying. I thought
he looked okay. Let me pull him up real quick because he was getting some volume, and there's a chance that he's a solid player, and we just don't know it yet, right?
Yeah.
So if I go to the game and look at it here, it looks like it was Velus Jones Jr., the former wide receiver on the Chicago Bears. He was like an older guy, like 25, came out of the draft. This was back in before Ben Johnson's days, and he is kind of like this DJ Moore type of guy, big wide receiver. Looks like he's made the transition, the running back, and good for him. He only went 6 for 10 yards, but who cares? Maybe
you just get thrown in the middle of the game against the Bears.
Right.
I get it.
Let's see with a
Niners.
Right, a week of preparation. How does he look? Yeah. So, but I do think that will be the critical factor. So, with all of this being said, Dan, in the biggest moment for Sam Darnold, after all, like I just mentioned it, the haunting of the defensive coordination of Chris Shula, pass rush, crazy looks, seeing ghosts. In the biggest moment in the NFC Championship, the game of his life, will, not if, not can, will Sam Darnold overcome this Chris Shula defense and this Rams team and pull off the win. What's your score prediction?
My score prediction, Seahawks will come out with this one. And my score prediction will be 23-21 Seahawks.
Okay, that sounds very close to the first game where the Rams won 21-19, except the Rams or the Seahawks get that last field goal. They get down the field. Sam Darnold has the game-winning drive, and he just defeats all the haters. I like that. And, I wouldn't be upset about it. Like I said, I've had both of these teams up here. And is there anything that you'd like to add into how you want to kind of add context to that score prediction before? Because I have one too, of course.
So for me, my thought is last drive or second to last drive, Rams come down. It's gonna be 20-18, and by 18, I'm thinking that they're gonna catch Darnold lacking. They're gonna be basically just up his ass, and all of a sudden the Rams are gonna kick in a really good field position. What's it called? They're gonna probably back the Seahawks up to like the 2. Sam Darnold's gonna get flustered. Something similar happened like that Vikings game where he gets sacked in the end zone. Safety, boom, it's 18-20. Everybody's losing their ish. They come out of nowhere, and the Rams are going down. Fourth quarter, 2-minute drill. They get close to it. The Seahawks stop them. Boom, 21-20. Everybody's losing it. It's probably under like a minute or something. Sam Darnold time. They're balling out. I'm expecting Arroyo. I'm expecting Bobo. I'm expecting like JSN to be triple covered, basically nonstop. And all of a sudden, the one guy that they forget, Cooper Kupp, probably a big play. All of a sudden, timeout, boom, Myers, flick. 23-21. That's what I'm seeing.
I love that. The Cooper Kupp storyline here is so underrated because it felt like there was a little bit of disdain.
A little bit of like, wow, for real.
Y'all didn't want me back, huh? Okay, yeah. I'll go to the division rival and look at them now. By the way, I'm going to help their young wide receiver truly break out by applying my elite football IQ, to his potential. So many moving parts to that. I love that. I really do. But I think you're wrong. I disagree, but not very strongly. I think both of us feel this game is very 51-49. Mm-hmm. Everyone kind of knows it could go either way. I'm sticking to my guns since week 11. And honestly, going all the way back to last year in the regular season when the Rams really started catching fire and looking legit. And then adding Adams. It all lined up for this moment. For them to already have Puka, Stafford, the supporting cast they had on offense, and the defense that emerged that was looking like it was going to be a problem, felt like the last thing they needed was Devontae Adams. Really did. And I think in this game is where it's really going to say, damn, that was a Super Bowl move. Because I'm going to pick the Rams to win this one pretty close, 27-26, game-winning touchdown. How do I see this happening? Well, I think it's going to be pretty similar to the first game, except without the Darnold interceptions. So the Rams can't really comfortably pull ahead. Maybe the halftime score is like, we'll call it 17 or 10 to like 7. Rams lead. And the Rams are going to be leading early, and that's what's going to help them win this game ultimately. Is actually they're going to take the first lead, I think. And because I think it'll take longer for Darnold to settle in. I think he will settle in. But I think about the two games that did occur between these two teams. And although the Seahawks did come back in the first one, and they came back in the second one, and they managed to win, it just feels like between the 8 quarters of football that were there, it felt like for 6 to 7 of them, the Rams were the better team. I can't escape it. I really can't. I don't even try to do it on purpose. I can't escape it. But yeah, I just think the Rams, the Seahawks, I think that one punt return for a touchdown by Rashid Shaheed, I don't think they're winning that game without that. And I'm not saying it's impossible. Rams special teams has been a problem. Seahawks got the best special teams in the league. Rashid Shaheed might be the best punt returner in the league. if he gets one in, they're probably winning. No, they probably will win. But I'm just thinking, yeah, I think the Rams are going to be a little more dialed in on that kind of thing. We're going to say we're not going to lose because of special teams. Maybe they let up a big return, but not a touchdown. And, they go through the third quarter, fourth quarter, they start scoring more and more. And it's
those big rushes though past the 50, those matter.
Yeah. And I have them at 26. So there's going to be plenty of times where they get into field goal range and they have to settle for 3. And that's kind of what I see happening. Is it's like it's 20-20, and the Seahawks, they kick a field goal, and then maybe there's a Rams turnover. They can't convert to a touchdown, but they kick another field goal, and then either there's 2 minutes left or it's just in the fourth quarter and they get a couple stops. We're going to get to the last drive or it's going to be like 5 minutes left. The Rams are going to march down the field confidently against the Seahawks defense that's going to be tired. And they're going to score a touchdown. And I'm going to just say, let's just say it's Devontae Adams, right? Mm-hmm. Because the Seahawks secondary, Witherspoon and Woolen, and, Eamon Wari, the strong safety, kind of a Kyle Hamilton clone. I'm not sure who they have who can keep up with Devontae Adams.
Eamon Wari, bro, is the closest thing I feel like I've seen since freaking Cam Chancellor, bro.
Yeah,
that dude,
we love it. We said that.
Yes,
when it got drafted, it wasn't on video, but I literally called you, I think, after. I was like, yo, the Seahawks took Eamon Wari. I think he's going to wear Cam Chancellor's number. But, yeah, I just think, whether Witherspoon's on Puka, I don't think Woolen can hang with Devontae, especially with the passer he's got throwing him the ball. So, So that's Rams Seahawks. Are you rooting for either team in this one, or do you not really care?
I genuinely feel like I'm rooting for the Seahawks just because, I'm over. I want Sam Darnold to be able to show, the Jets are just trash. And that they just sold. Basically, they just can't get shit right. That the Niners were dumb for keeping Purdy and getting rid of... Bro, I'm not lying to you. If Darnold played with the teams that Purdy had, bro...
Yeah. It's crazy.
It would have been crazy work. With Shanahan calling the... Bro.
Yeah.
Crazy work. Then the Vikings, they were like, Sam Darnold, 9. We'll go with 9. The Panthers, even though Bryce Young's cooking, I agree. They're I'm proud of them. I'm happy to see them doing what they gotta do. But it's Darnold has just Geno Smith said, "Oh, they try to write me off, but I didn't write back." Yada yada. He is the definition of writing off this freaking dude, Sam Darnold, and he kept showing it year after year with all these different teams, and the Vikings still got rid of him. The Niners still got rid of him, and it's just bro, trust them, trust the process, and if they do that against Stafford. Yo, I'll be happy at that point. That's kind of what I felt about with the Bears and Caleb. I genuinely felt as if Caleb is solid. I kept saying it over and over again this year. I think that Ben Johnson's type of offense was a little too fast for him. He was understanding it more and more throughout the season. But at the end of the day, if you're still a little step behind, that one step behind is enough for the Rams to be able to catch you lagging.
Yeah.
They got him paid for it, and they called it a day. And the Seahawks, I think Sam Darnold has spent the years catching up to the speed of the NFL, and I think he's at exactly where he needs to be able to ball out against McVay.
I will say this about Sam Darnold. I think overall, even if they lose this game, I think he would have to have a historically poor season or game here in order to kind of ruin his resume. Because an interesting Sam Darnold stat I heard that was I heard it on the herd, Colin Cowherd and Nick Wright. Quarterbacks with multiple 14-win seasons or consecutive. Sam Darnold is the only quarterback with back-to-back 14-win seasons on 2 different teams.
You know what's crazy, Scotty? You know what's crazy?
What's up?
You know what number he wears?
14. Maybe that's got to be it, right?
Ain't that some shit?
Yeah. And just to add, maybe not insult to injury, maybe medicine to treatment. He's the seventh quarterback in NFL history to have 14 wins and 4,000 passing yards in a season. So, avoiding the kind of carried terminology. Yeah. And that was last year. Now he's done it twice. I don't know how many guys have done it twice, but it can't be that many. I'm staring at a list of like 7 guys right now. So yeah, I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I think there's no question there. And I honestly, I want the Rams to win only because I want to be right about this feeling I've had that it's been like, paranormally ingrained in me, that it's true. What I've sensed about this team is that they're going to win a Super Bowl. But if the Seahawks win, I will certainly be happy for Sam Darnold. Good for him. It would be a crazy impressive win. All right. You ready to move on to the next game, Dan? We talked a lot about Rams-Seahawks. It's going to be a very interesting game. But this one is going to be almost more interesting, I would say. It's the Patriots at the Broncos. And the Broncos, as we've all discussed, are going to be starting backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham in this one. As Bo Nix on the last 2 plays of overtime in the Bills game broke his ankle. I've heard rumblings that maybe he'll try to take something in play. I don't think they should do that. I think you take the guy, Stidham, who's been there for 3 years on the team with Peyton. He's been practicing. He'll be 100% ready to go.
Yep.
And yet you start him. So let's just run under the assumption that Jarrett Stidham will be the starter. I don't think that's crazy. But with that being said, Jarrett Stidham being in this game, he's going up against Drake Maye, who's had MVP talk. Obviously, the Patriots, with him in year 2, have been spectacular, exceeded all expectations with head coach Mike Vrabel. But Bo Nix has now gone from making the playoffs his rookie year on a team that wasn't very, considered very good when he got there. Really struggling with Russell Wilson, just looking like a complete embarrassment. He's still on their payroll, by the way. Russell Wilson. They're still paying him guaranteed money. And now he goes on and gets the 1 seed, and, he wins a lot of games, maybe closer than some people should expect, but he's got like 6 comeback wins on the year. Gets the 1 seed in the AFC, and then genuinely outdueled Josh Allen in the divisional round. Did not make as many mistakes and made big-time throws when it mattered. I'm just wondering, why have people not shown the same love to Bo Nix, now the season's essentially over, as they've shown to Drake Maye? Why? Why no love for Bo Nix, and why all the love for Drake Maye? What's the difference?
I feel like the difference kind of is... Well, I think Peyton came back to coaching, only coaching Drew Brees, only being able, to just carry the Saints for however long. I feel like there was a part of me that was thinking that, Peyton coming back and he couldn't get it together because he did coach with Russ for a little bit, right? If I'm correct.
Who? Sean Payton?
Yeah.
That's who was his first year.
That was his first year, right? Yeah.
Russ.
So it was like he couldn't get it with Russ. So now it's that concept of now you bring this guy in. Okay, now he's performing. And I think there's those little, like you say, there's little moments throughout the season where they almost lost to the Giants and then they came back. And then they're playing tight clinch cheeks football against the Raiders.
Yeah.
And they're having all these moments throughout the season that I feel like you doubt them, you question them. While the Patriots, and they went to the playoffs already, and they got smoked.
Yeah.
So now there's this message around Bo Nix of, oh my God, he tried it once, got absolutely, and got kicked out. Dude got double clapped, kicked out real fast, and now they, like you saw beforehand, their strength of schedule wasn't the hardest.
No.
But neither were the Patriots.
It was the easiest, was the Patriots.
Yeah. So for them to come back the way they did, I feel like
and beat the Bills, the team that blew them out last year in the playoffs.
That blew them out last year, exactly. And it's not until now that I feel like the Broncos are gotten respect, but which again is a shame because they've been able to go up against teams, ball out the way they could, and stayed fighting, performing at a high level. And as far as Drake Maye goes, the Patriots were not anybody's thought last year, and I think that's why everybody likes the story
The new.
of yes, the story, the precipice of this team was fourth place last year in their division. They're in the AFC Championship in 1 year with a couple moves.
Yeah.
And it's like they're doing it, and I feel like Drake Maye again is getting more value in his resume because of the weapons that are like that surround him. But like, let's be for real here. Booty, when he was at LSU, was still a monster and was still really, really good. Why is it that nobody paid attention to him? Because there were people like BTJ. There was people like Malik Neighbors. There was people like Jamar. There's people like Justin Jefferson. Yeah, Rome was not there.
Roma Dunza. Or not there, but in that class. I thought that's what you were saying.
Yeah, no. I'm talking
You're
about
saying
like
he was the number
LSU.
3 at LSU.
Yeah, he was the 3 at LSU. And I'm saying that's what got me. It was like, you see Malik Neighbors, you see BTJ. No one's going to ask about who the 3 is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's not playing the 3 for them on the Patriots. Like, he's playing, I think, like the 2,
I'd say he's probably the 2 or like the main slot. Like, he kind of does everything.
Exactly. Yeah, so for me, like, he was always a guy that they underrated. Diggs is the number 1. I'm sorry. Yeah, so with Diggs being the 1, like, Booty's not going to be seen as, like, that same, but it's like he's still, like, a solid receiver. Like, nonetheless, you know what I'm saying? Mac Hollins just finds moments where he balls out for no reason. And Hunter Henry, stud tight end, no issue, no problem. Henderson, Stevenson, they've ramped the O-line. It's like, but I feel like because these names were not been told or have not been exposed, like the amount of names that the Broncos acquired through the offseason, everyone thinks like, oh my God, Drake Maye's doing it himself. It's like, no, these were all people for like those who really, really are enveloped by the game of football, knew who these people were beforehand, knew the potential, just needed the coach to bring it to fruition. That was bars!
Yeah, just needed to see it happen, right? A lot of uncertainty whenever you you spend $100 million, in free agency, you don't know if it's going to work. Sometimes it backfires. But with Drake Maye, I think the cast of weapons is pretty similar. I'll give Bo Nix the O-line, and I think the defenses, honestly, are pretty similar. Vrabel leading that Patriots unit I like, and with the Broncos, Vance Joseph.
I would definitely say, as far as the Patriots defense, there's a lot of no names that nobody knows about compared to the Broncos for sure. Similar, yes, in terms of scheme, in terms of experience and everything, I agree with you. But in terms of overall talent, it's like, you can go
give
like
it to the Broncos.
You give it to the Broncos. Overall.
Yeah. I'll give it to them. The Patriots are so eerily similar to the Titans with Mike Vrabel, with the way that they felt in these playoff games so far, where they just really nasty, and really physical, and it's something that I think they probably have an edge on the Broncos with. But overall, when it comes to Maye and Bo Nix, I think overall the supporting cast is like, Bo Nix has the edge, so people are gonna take drawbacks away from that. Bo Nix is, doesn't seem to be as talented, raw prospect as Drake Maye. 6'5", rocket arm, big mobility. He's Josh Allen 2.0, right? Bo Nix, it's like, what is he? He looks like kind of like Jalen Hurts, maybe a little bit more lanky, maybe a slightly better passer. But does he have the ice in his veins, and show up in the playoff moments? Well, now he does. The Broncos won that game because Bo Nix played clean and showed up in big moments. That throw to Mims, the deep ball passing, the scrambles. He was fast, scrambling on third downs. So honestly, I think it's the new. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. I think it's the shock of it being, fourth to first. And then it's the talent. People fall in love with talent. And so I think it's exciting to think about what Drake Maye could be with his age and all that, where Bo Nix is like old, and it's like, it's not as exciting. So appreciation for Bo Nix. Dude's gotten it done and been pretty damn good. 1 seed and beating the Bills in the playoffs in a year where they were desperate, getting their head coach fired. Pretty impressive. So that's enough about Bo Nix, though, and Drake Maye. We've kind of talked about the Patriots roster. So with that being said, it's time to talk about Jarrett Stidham. Bo Nix is gone. Jarrett Stidham's going in there now. So we're going from Bo Nix, who's like 6'2", kind of like, 225, kind of sturdy, mobile, likes to throw it short and play it safe, but as we saw, can be aggressive. Jarrett Stidham, backup quarterback, but pretty big, tall guy, strong arm. He's been with Peyton for 3 years, so I'm sure his decision-making is pretty fair, and I'd say he's one of the better backups in the league, and we see guys like Malik Willis play really, really well this year. I think there's actually a lot of really good backups. There's just not a lot of elite quarterbacks, you know what I mean? People think that if you're not elite, you're terrible. Well, if you're a backup and you're not bad, like, you might end up in a situation like this. So I'm just curious, when it comes to Jarrett Stidham, being the quarterback in this game for the Broncos, we saw, the conservative game plans that this Broncos team would have and lead teams on and then just eventually pull away. Do you think we're going to see a different version entirely of this Broncos offense where they're a bit more throw the ball downfield and be really, really aggressive over the top? What do you think?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm expecting first half. I'm expecting Stidham to kind of do similar what Mac Jones did when he first came in, and it's a lot of those quick passes, things that, again, they had no film on Stidham besides from however many years ago,
right?
And in this kind of offense, the last thing you want to give your defense is time to be able to kind of adjust and see what is really going on and what's the best way to do it. Like playing every drive like it's a 2-minute drill. Kind of let the defense try to figure you out while you're at your fastest. Let Stidham get comfortable out there as quick as possible, because once they do figure you out, then at that point you're trusting your quarterback to be able to make the absolute best, most precise throws in the right moment. And it's just something that I think once Stidham when
it's
he goes
not
out
ideal.
there first, I don't think this is ideal for the, how do I say this? It's not ideal against the Patriots defense, I would say, that
to be behind.
Yeah, like to be behind against this Patriots defense personally. Like, and that's kind of what I was gonna go to next was, I don't think it's like best in the Broncos' favor to allow the Patriots to kind of like show their hand. It's like the Broncos need to get rolling off the rip, build that momentum. Because the one thing you do, like coming from me, right? Like seeing 2017, like when we played the Falcons,
right?
Yeah, we started off hot, and guess what? We prayed that Julio Jones was not gonna moss Jalen Mills, and he got out of bounds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And why? It's like if we allowed the Falcons to start off super hot fire, we're not winning that game.
Yeah. And, Wentz was out even before you guys got to the playoffs.
And we were having a hard time.
Right. And you guys were having a hard time. This is the AFC Championship he's walking into. Foles had a couple weeks to kind of get acclimated, and then you guys had the bye and all that kind of stuff. And, I think kind of going to what you said about, like, getting ahead in this one is huge for this Broncos team. And I think chewing the clock. Quick passes, like you said. Keep the ball away from Drake Maye and this Patriots offense and just let it marinate with them on the sideline that they're in a close game against a backup quarterback with the Super Bowl on the line. You got to get psychological with this Patriots team and just lull them to sleep with these drives. Keep it close. Don't screw it up.
Don't screw it up. One error, it's over.
It's over.
This is one of those games where it's like one error, it's over.
Yeah, and Bo Nix and, the running backs did not have a good game against Buffalo's run defense. No more than 21 yards from McLaughlin or Harvey, and they combined for 10 carries. But Bo Nix...
Did Harvey fumble?
I can't see it right here, but I think he did, but they recovered. But let me see, actually.
That's one thing he's got to stop.
I can't see. Yeah, he's got to stop fumbling.
It's the damn fumbles, bro.
It was James Cook, too, though. But my point is, Bo Nix was their leading rusher, 12 for 29. Moving the chains on third down and stuff. So if their run defense, is bad, and they couldn't really run the ball that well against them. Maybe the Bills were allowing them to pass and saying we can't get gashed on the ground. Maybe, because they did have a great day through the air. I don't know that that's going to happen quite the same way if you're in second and long, third and long, because you can't run the ball, and you got Stidham being the one who's got to make those third down throws. I really don't know, but there's another kind of element to it. The sense that I feel like he can kind of come into this game. He's going to care, don't get me wrong. But if I was Jarrett Stidham and I lost this game, I wouldn't be as hurt as if I was Nick Foles and I lost this game. Had a couple weeks, right? He's got excuses. Let's just say that. He's got excuses. He knows it. His team knows it. They're playing with house money right now, because they're still here. And I think we're going to see a little effort. I think Sean Payton is a big trick gadget play guy. And I think to make explosive plays, every now and then, instead of having Jarrett Stidham, throw a deep dig or, a post or fade, we're going to see a gadget play. We're going to see a trick play. And that's something that
I would be shocked if first play, the first red zone play, they try to do a trick play.
Yeah, no, 100%. We have to get ahead. We have to use this now. Why wait? Screw it. We're with our backup quarterback. Let's go in. Maybe they run the Philly special. Just saying it worked with another backup in a bigger game. So I think that's what we're going to see different with Jarrett Stidham. It would be a little more downfield potential throwing the ball, but overall the processing can't be as good, and they're going to probably rely on some trick plays. So we talked about the quarterback advantage basically the whole first 10, 15 minutes. But something I think is really, really interesting here is we talked about roster advantage too, probably goes to the Broncos. But who has the coaching advantage in this one? We got Sean Payton and Vance Joseph for the Broncos. That's a hell of a staff right there. Vance Joseph, former head coach DC. You'll love the former head coach DCs. And he's obviously done a hell of a job. But now you also got, for the Patriots, Mike Vrabel. That dude is a menace. And Josh McDaniels, a dude who's been in the playoffs a million times before and knows what it has to look like. Now, Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl too. So it's really, really hard to say. But who do you think, if you just had to give a split hair of a coaching advantage in this one, who do you think it goes to?
Sean Payton. Easy money. To me, the reason why I say it's easy for me to make that decision. Vance Joseph. This dude has made Singleton look like a monster on defense. This dude has put all these players that have been tragically hurt on other teams, put them together, they've been menaces, right? And Sean Payton, offensive scheming, has made it work in New Orleans with 17,000 different team assignments, different roster, different people.
Jameis, yeah.
What was it? Jameis to freaking
Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton was a monster for a little bit.
He wasn't a monster, but he was okay. He was definitely better than he'd ever been.
Then wasn't there the funny meme about how he got
threw a pick six and then you see this. It was the Cardinals, yeah. I think it was a Thursday. It was a Thursday night game. They were wearing the wacky uniforms and stuff. And what I forgot to mention something with the Sean Payton gadget plays. The Super Bowl against the Colts, he ran an onside kick to open the second half.
Oh yeah.
This dude is gonna pull out everything. I would hate to be Mike Vrabel in this game. And I kind of agree with you. I love what Mike Vrabel brings, and I don't think he's ever had a quarterback as good as Drake Maye when he's been a head coach. It was Tannehill. I
don't think he has the fucking factor like Peyton does.
Yeah, well, and I think they do.
Find out.
They do go for it on fourth down. That was a huge reason I think they won that Texans game. But I think McDaniels I don't think he's as creative as Sean Payton, obviously. And I think both defenses are going to show up. Vrabel and Vance Joseph kind of cancel out, and I would definitely take Sean Payton over Josh McDaniels. So I'm going to give the coaching advantage to the Broncos, actually. So it kind of sounds like I'm kind of giving a possible chance that the Patriots could lose this game. Currently, they are 5-point favorites in this matchup. And the line, actually, for a split instant, before we knew Bo Nix tragically got injured, it was actually Denver was a 1.5-point favorite. So, now that the Patriots are favored, I just want to ask you, if they lose this game against backup Jarrett Stidham, what does this mean for all the momentum this Patriots team has built this season and Drake Maye has built this season? Assuming, all of them don't play that well if they end up losing. What does this mean for this Patriots team if they lose this game?
Depending on how the trial goes for Diggs, they might be in the market for another number one wide receiver. And if that's the case, right, and then hear me out, right, and this hurts me to say, but I feel like the Patriots, if they lose this game, they're going to do everything they can to get A.J. Brown back.
He loves Mike Vrabel, and I think he hates Sirianni. I really think he does.
Do everything they can to try to get him back. And I'd be just curious to see like how that market would look and what they're going to be willing to trade, if I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't know what and hear me out, right? And hear me out. This is what I genuinely feel. If I'm trading A.J. Brown, I need Christian Gonzalez.
Oh, you're going to probably have to throw a pick in with A.J. Brown, I would think. Just because of Gonzalez.
I got to get Christian Gonzalez. I'm doing Christian Gonzalez, A.J. Brown, and like a fourth.
I'm forgetting that you would love for this to happen as an Eagles fan. I feel like you'd have to give up a pick. And I think as an Eagles fan, I mean, you got DeJean, you got Quignon. You don't have a number 2, so I see where you're kind of going.
Because right there, then at that point, right, you don't got to stress about this draft, right? Most drafts we've seen so far lately have been heavily defensive. This is the first time where it's like offensive weapons and defensive weapons all across the board. And a lot of these teams that are in the front of the first 20 picks, some of them have offensive needs. A lot of them have defensive needs beyond means.
Yeah. Definitely. And trench needs.
So I would rather acquire and fix my defensive issue being my second corner and take on, what's it called, like a receiver and just ramp the offense, do what you got to do. And we're acting like Tyreek Hill's not out there right now. You know what I'm saying? We're acting like all these other receivers, could possibly not be out there. You know what I mean? It'd be a scary duo for sure for the Patriots to have A.J. Brown and Diggs and Booty as the slot.
Right. Well, and they got Kyle Williams, too. That's the other thing we totally failed to mention this whole time. Rookie Kyle Williams, dude, he's a hell of a player. We haven't seen him really yet in the playoffs, I don't think. But I feel like if they win, it's probably because of a Kyle Williams explosive receiving play. And I suppose what you're saying is if the Patriots lose this game, they don't have enough. They should definitely win this game. And if they don't, you're saying the roster, it needs more star power.
We made it this far with these guys. Like, we literally are missing one thing, just like the Eagles with Saquon. We were a great team beforehand. We got Saquon and we got Mekhi Becton. Elevated us.
Right. Like, and how much better you got when you got A.J. Brown, though he was in his prime, still. Huge improvement for the passing game. Yeah. Make your quarterback's job easy. Well, I can tell you what I think this means if they lose. Frauds. How is this only a 5-point spread? You're versing a backup quarterback and you're an AFC Championship representative. Mm-hmm. Like, the fact that this game is within a touchdown really says a lot because I feel like it should. The Seahawks were favored 10 points over the 49ers. You know, that was Brock Purdy versus Sam Darnold. That was all about the roster because it wasn't about the coaching. It was all about the roster. So if these rosters are even, the coaching's pretty even. You know, Broncos roster's slightly better, I would say. It's not that much better. You know, the Patriots looked crazy good last week. I know Stroud was terrible, but they're dialed in. If they lose, why is there not a bigger favor for Drake Maye over Jarrett Stidham? You know, and I think it's because part of Vegas knows Yeah, the Broncos played an easy schedule. Well, the Patriots' schedule was considerably easier than the Broncos, who played like the third or fourth easiest. It was considerably easier than that. And to see them in these two playoff games where Maye has been fumbling, pretty poorly. If it wasn't for that fourth down catch to Booty, who knows what happens in that Texans game? It's like, I don't think they can get away with this for much longer. Drake Maye has 2 fumbles in this Broncos game. All it takes is for the Broncos to recover those fumbles for them to lose this game. Because the Texans did not recover those fumbles. I think if they did, it flips the game. At least back to being a neutral game. Because in a game where they had 5 turnovers, you win by 12 points. That's not a lot. That's not that convincing.
That's not convincing at all.
Although the Texans, they're a very great team, and I think this Patriots team is, they're objectively great. That doesn't mean that they have been objectively tested. So what does that lead to me? There's a lot of uncertainty about how great this team really is. And if they lose this game, they're going to land on the wrong side of that. So with all that being said, Dan, it's time. This is the second to last game that we will be picking this year.
Mm-hmm.
So make it count. Who do you think wins the AFC Championship? The Patriots or the Broncos?
I say the Patriots find a way to be able to make it out. And I think, with that being said, the Patriots are going to come out winning. And this is exactly how I see the drive. It's going to be like Stidham goes, he makes it all the way. They score a touchdown. The crowd blows up. Everyone's going stupid, everything. And they're like, oh, my God. The announcers are going to glaze it. Tony Romo's going to be like, it's almost like a Mahomes kind of situation. And all that shit in between. And then they're going to come out. Drake Maye, he's going to get a ball started. They're going to run the ball probably to try to bring in the defense, get it close, try to throw a big shot. Oh, my God. It got caught. Diggs, he does his scream. They pan to Cardi B. They come back to the field. Then we go. Quick throw to Hunter Henry, just getting themselves to the freaking field, just getting to the marker, just where they need to be. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing 3 seconds left, field goal. They win by 2. I'm thinking it's going to be 28-26 Patriots.
All right. 28-26 Patriots. So there are some points scored in this game. I believe the over-under is like 43 right now. 42.5. So it's kind of low, I guess. Both teams are probably going to want to run the ball. Even though Drake Maye's great, it's like, let's play it safe. What did the Titans do?
You don't want to flip momentum too fast.
You don't want to flip momentum and pass when you don't have to, and he fumbles or throws a pick, and you give this Broncos team momentum. Because every ounce of momentum you give this Broncos team is going to mean more to them than it does to the Patriots. Because they're in a crazier situation. And if you don't think that way, I'm sorry. Because I do. The psychological element to this is going to be so real. And by no means should the Patriots realistically lose this game. I think if they played it 10 times, I think the Patriots would probably win 7 times. What are the other 3 times that the Broncos end up winning? They end up winning in those games because of some Sean Payton bullshit. The fucking onside kick, the, trick plays, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be some bullshit. But it's football, and that Philly special, what do you think the Patriots were thinking after that happened? That's some bullshit. But you know what? It worked. And Sean Payton, although he's probably devastated by the loss of Bo Nix, I think Jarrett Stidham is a guy you can work with, and I think he's got
Payton had no stress. Bro is literally just like,
Stidham's ready to go?
Yeah, he's ready to go. And I bet you're going to see a lot when you see him.
Right.
Oh, shit.
He's got a whole playbook for a situation just like this. And I'm sure they were saving it for the Super Bowl with Bo Nix, or if this game got close. They were saving a lot of them. We didn't see many of them in the Bills game. They were winning. If this game gets close, tight, back and forth, I think we're going to see some of that stuff. And because of that, I don't know. I just have this confidence that the Broncos are going to win this game. Somehow, they're going to win this game. And although the run game wasn't that effective, we know Sean Payton, better than almost anyone, can create an extension of the run game through the passing game. Get their defense to be aggressive, hit some big shots over the top, to play off that kind of stuff. It's going to be the best coach game of his career because he's not working with Drew Brees. He's not doing it. This is a legacy game for Sean Payton, and I truly believe that they're going to come up with some tricks on offense that is going to completely bypass the physical toughness of this Patriots defense. That is no doubt going to have an effect. But one more element that I really haven't mentioned, I think the Broncos have a clear offensive line advantage in this game. And the cleaner quarterback is typically the one who wins in any matchup. That's why Mahomes lost to Jalen Hurts. That's why Mahomes won the first time because he wasn't sacked. And that's why the Rams beat the Bengals. Go back to every single Super Bowl. I couldn't tell you the last one that the more sacked quarterback or the more pressured quarterback ended up winning. So
I just feel like in the Super Bowl, once the quarterback gets a little dirty, they become filthy by the end of the league. I feel like the pressure of the Super Bowl, it's the only quarterback I've seen that gets dirty in the Super Bowl and still come back to win, Brady.
Yeah. Except the Giants pummeled them. The Giants pummeled Brady in those Super Bowls. And then the only one where I think he didn't get pummeled and he lost was the Nick Foles one, which just didn't make sense. A lot like this Broncos win is going to feel. It's going to feel like, what the hell just happened? Why are the Broncos putting up 28 points on this Patriots team? My score prediction is going to be 28-24 Broncos, game-winning touchdown. And I guess, every game, both of these are going to have game-winning touchdowns based on the way you and I have been talking about them. But it really goes like that sometimes. I mean, these are going to be some crazy matchups. So I cannot wait to watch these games, man. They're going to be so exciting just to see, what storyline we end up with for the Super Bowl. And like you kind of mentioned at the beginning of the show, what does this all mean for next year? It's going to be awesome. So that's Broncos Patriots. And Dan, there's a few other bits of NFL news, but I know it's late. I got to make these clips.
Yeah.
You got to get some rest. Yeah. I got to get some rest. I really got to get some rest, guys. I got an issue. I was passing out a few months ago during the summer because your boy is not sleeping, and sometimes he can get away with that. But if he doesn't eat and he doesn't sleep and he doesn't drink water, he passes out. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Illegal Formation Podcast's Championship Sunday predictions, joining me and Dan to talk about this spectacular weekend of football we've got coming up. And guys, it's just time to dial in. After this week, there's one game left, and it's 2 weeks away. Man, we're going to have to wait for football. The national championship is over. The conference championships are going to be over. We're going to have to wait 2 weeks and watch the stupid awards show that is definitely decided by the end of the regular season. Conspiracy Theory 101 with me and Dan. I will argue with you guys in the comments about that until the end of time. Yes, I know it's supposed to be decided by the end of the regular season, but I'm getting off track. Everybody, thank you so much for joining this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Dan, you want to take it away?
Guys, thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing out. Guys, listen, Super Bowl's right around the corner, but we got the championship games to get through first. So keep it rolling.